Somewhere beneath a luxury hotel in West Virginia, there is a door that most guests never noticed. Behind it, a corridor. And behind that corridor, a bunker large enough to house the entire United States Congress. It sat there for decades, fully staffed, fully stocked, ready to be activated at a moment's notice. And almost no one knew it existed. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is a documented fact. And it's just one piece of a much larger story. Because during the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union quietly built something extraordinary beneath the surface of the Earth. Not just bunkers, entire underground governments, hidden inside mountains, buried beneath forests, concealed beneath cities, built for one singular, terrifying purpose: to keep power alive after the end of the world. To understand why these bunkers were built, you have to understand what the world felt like in the early 1950s. World War II had ended just a few years earlier, and the weapon that ended it, the atomic bomb, had fundamentally changed what war even meant. The United States had used 2 of them on Japan in August 1945. The results were catastrophic. Hiroshima was flattened in seconds. An estimated 80,000 people died in the initial blast. Nagasaki followed 3 days later. The world had never seen anything like it. But here's the thing about nuclear weapons. Once one country has them, other countries start building them too. By 1949, just 4 years after Hiroshima, the Soviet Union successfully tested its first atomic bomb. The nuclear monopoly the United States had enjoyed was over. And then things escalated quickly. Both sides began developing hydrogen bombs, weapons that made the original atomic bombs look almost small by comparison. By the mid-1950s, the United States and Soviet Union each possessed weapons capable of destroying entire cities, not just damaging them, erasing them. And the missiles carrying those weapons were getting faster, more accurate, and longer in range. By the early 1960s, intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, could travel from the Soviet Union to the United States in approximately 30 minutes. 30 minutes. That's how long American military planners had to respond to a Soviet first strike. And within that 30 minutes, a question emerged that no one really wanted to think about. What if the first missiles hit Washington? What if the president was gone? What if Congress was gone? What if the entire civilian leadership of the United States was simply wiped out? Who gives the orders? Who controls the nuclear arsenal? Who negotiates? Who's left? Military planners called this the decapitation problem. If an enemy could destroy your leadership in the first strike, they could effectively paralyze your entire military response. So the solution, as strange as it sounds, became this. The government needed to disappear underground before the missiles arrived, and it needed to be able to keep functioning from there. This idea had a name: continuity of government. And what it produced was one of the most secret construction projects in American history. In 1956, the United States military began looking for a location, not for a traditional military base, for something entirely different. They needed a facility that could survive a nuclear strike, not a building reinforced with concrete, a mountain. They chose Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, and what they built inside it over the next decade became one of the most iconic military installations in history. Construction officially began in 1961. The engineering challenge was immense. Workers didn't build inside the mountain. They carved chambers directly into solid granite. Over 693,000 tons of rock were removed during excavation. The main complex consists of 15 freestanding steel buildings built inside the mountain, sitting on more than 1,300 large steel springs. Each spring weighs around 1,000 pounds. The entire structure is designed to absorb the shockwave of a nearby nuclear explosion. Essentially, the buildings float inside the rock. The facility opened in 1966 as the operational center for NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command. Its primary mission: detect incoming Soviet missiles and give North America whatever warning time was left before impact. The blast doors at the main entrance weigh 25 tons each. They can seal the entire complex in seconds. Inside, there are power generators, water reservoirs, fuel storage, and enough supplies to sustain operations for extended periods without any contact with the outside world. At the height of the Cold War, Cheyenne Mountain was the nerve center of American nuclear defense. Hundreds of personnel worked inside it around the clock, watching radar screens, tracking satellite data, waiting for a signal that, thankfully, never came. The mountain still exists, the facility is still operational, and somewhere inside that granite, those 1,300 springs are still sitting there, still ready. But protecting the military wasn't enough. In a nuclear war, the United States also needed to protect its civilian government. Not just the president, there were separate plans for him, but the legislative branch, the 535 members of Congress, the people who, under the Constitution, hold the power to declare war, control the budget, and govern the country. And the solution to protecting them was hiding a bunker under a hotel. The Greenbrier is a luxury resort in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. It's the kind of place that has hosted American presidents since the early 1800s. Manicured grounds, fine dining, golf courses, and for decades, an enormous secret buried beneath it. In 1958, the federal government approached the resort about a construction project. Publicly, it was described as a new exhibition hall, a conference wing being added to the property. In reality, it was the construction of a classified underground facility designed to house the entire United States Congress in the event of nuclear war. The bunker was built beneath the new west wing of the hotel. It covered approximately 112,000 square feet underground. Inside were dormitories, a medical clinic, a decontamination chamber, and, remarkably, broadcast studios equipped for government communications. There were also 2 large meeting chambers, one for the House of Representatives, one for the Senate. The idea was that if nuclear war broke out, members of Congress would be evacuated from Washington, some by plane, some by train. They would arrive at the Greenbrier, descend into the bunker, and, in theory, continue governing the United States from underground. The facility was maintained in a constant state of readiness for over 30 years. A company called Forsyth Associates operated out of the resort as a cover. They were actually government employees, there to maintain the bunker. Local residents knew something was there, but no one asked questions. That's how well-kept secrets actually work. Not everyone is kept in the dark. Some people just agree not to talk. The bunker remained classified until May 1992, when a journalist named Ted Gupp published an exposé in the Washington Post. Once the story broke, the government acknowledged the facility's existence. By then, the Cold War was over, and the bunker, which had never been used for its intended purpose, was decommissioned. Today, the Greenbrier offers tours of the facility. What was once one of America's most closely guarded secrets is now a tourist attraction. The United States wasn't building alone. On the other side of the Iron Curtain, the Soviet Union was constructing its own underground world. And in some ways, it may have been even larger.
Moscow sits on top of a vast network of tunnels, bunkers, and underground facilities built during the Soviet era. Some of it has been declassified, some of it remains disputed. One facility that is publicly known is Bunker 42. Built between 1950 and 1956, Bunker 42 sits approximately 65 meters, about 18 stories, below Taganka Square in central Moscow. It was designed to serve as a command post for Soviet long-range aviation forces in the event of nuclear war. The facility covers 7,000 square meters. It has its own power systems, communication equipment, and was designed to be completely self-sufficient. It was decommissioned in 1986 and eventually converted into a museum. Today, visitors can tour it. They serve cocktails in what used to be the Nuclear Command Center. But Bunker 42 is just what's visible. Beneath it, and beneath Moscow more broadly, there are rumors and partial evidence of something much larger. A system sometimes referred to as Metro 2, a secret underground railway separate from the public Moscow Metro, allegedly built to connect the Kremlin, key government ministries, and various underground bunkers. The Russian government has never officially confirmed its existence, but it has never officially denied it either. Former Russian officials have referenced it obliquely, and in 1991, a group of urban explorers claimed to have found tunnels beneath Moscow that didn't appear on any official map. Whether Metro 2 is a complete underground network, a partial system, or largely myth, no one outside the Russian government knows for certain. What is certain is this: the Soviet Union spent enormous resources building underground infrastructure during the Cold War, while American officials were quietly constructing bunkers beneath resorts and mountain ranges. Soviet planners were doing the same thing beneath their own cities. Both sides believed the same thing, that nuclear war was coming, and that the only way to survive it was to already be underground when it arrived.
The Cold War ended in 1991, not with nuclear fire, but with the quiet collapse of the Soviet Union. One by one, the facilities built for the end of the world began to be decommissioned, declassified, or repurposed. Cheyenne Mountain remains operational, though its role has evolved significantly since the 1960s. The Greenbrier Bunker became a museum. Bunker 42 serves cocktails. But not all of them were abandoned. Mount Weather is still active, and across both the United States and Russia, there are facilities that remain classified, infrastructure built during a period of genuine existential fear whose current status is unknown to the public. What's strange about all of this, looking back, is how rational it all was. These weren't the projects of paranoid leaders or rogue military commanders. They were the logical conclusion of a simple strategic reality. If your enemy can destroy your capital in 30 minutes, you need somewhere else to govern from. The bunkers were built by engineers following orders, by contractors who signed non-disclosure agreements, by local employees who kept secrets for decades. They represent something unusual in history. Not a weapon, not a battle plan, but a contingency, a quiet acknowledgement that the worst might happen, and that if it did, someone needed to still be there, somewhere underground, ready to rebuild.